Thank you so much for watching on the WMBD Plus app. I'm Cameron Main with the post-Senate debate discussion. The Illinois U.S. Senate race is really in full swing on WGN. We just saw the three top running candidates, Juliana Stratton, Robin Kelly, and Raja Krishnamurthy, fight for Illinois voters for this primary election. Coming in March 17th, on St. Patrick's Day. That's quite a difficult day to get voters out. But they made their message to the people. Right next to me, I have Rick Fox with the Peoria County Democrats, and then I also have Bobby Martin III with the Tazewell County Republicans. So thank you so much for coming on. We all watched the debate. I kind of want to just start very quickly, kind of 2 minutes each. What are your general thoughts? I'll start first with you, Bobby.
Yeah, I thought there were some things that were okay. I think for me, a lot of it just seemed like I saw kind of three characters up there. And it's like, I just kind of get tired of some of the inflammatory rhetoric that we see. And it's like, I know it's on both sides, but I'm just tired of it. And I think a lot of people are too. I would just like to see, them be normal people and just get to see them and have them talk versus just, like I said, the inflammatory stuff. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, I just didn't get to see real people and really hear what they really wanted. I feel like they were playing to the base, or the outside of the base. And it's like, do we have to do that all the time?
Yeah, quick follow-up. Do you think maybe they mentioned Trump too much? Is that a kind of key frustration point there, or?
No, it's okay they mentioned him. I mean, a couple inflammatory things, wanting to impeach him right away, but that's not an issue. I mean, he's the president, so.
Right, okay, all right. Rick Fox, what did you think?
I think I think that these candidates that we have here in Illinois, number one, we're lucky in Illinois that we have three candidates that are this qualified running against each other. It is a bit tiresome, I think, on some of the attacks, but that's the nature of politics these days. And I was heartened that as it went on, it seemed to get a little bit more into some of the policy discussion, and I think that's what a lot of people that are probably paying attention tonight care more about than the sort of the messaging that's out there. So
I think as well, let's kind of just dive straight into kind of that, in political terms, it's called a dirty primary, when both the candidates are fighting each other and they're trying to make sure who comes on top, because it is coming out to be relatively close from what we've seen from the polls. Do you think, a dirty primary this is considered a safe Democrat seat in the Illinois Senate, or well, in the U.S. Senate. Do you think a dirty primary could hurt their chances of Democrats, pulling out as many voters? And do you think that could even consider Republicans winning the seat?
I think it's far-fetched in Illinois that especially with the little bit that is known about the Republican candidates at this point. Don't want to jinx my party by thinking that we've got this one, but I think with three such strong candidates on the Democratic side with a history of service, I think that we're in pretty good shape from that perspective. Of course, the fact that any time that in a primary where the candidates go after each other, that is going to hurt somebody. It may not be so much in the general election, but in the long term, it's not a great thing to have that happen. But unfortunately, it works. I mean, that's how politics in America is, and I think there's a lot of this stuff we're hearing. It's unfortunate that it's the way it is, but it's what actually has worked for years, and it's tried and true. And to some degree, you have to do it. If you're not, you're not playing the game right, and you shouldn't win. So.
All right, Bobby, what do you think?
Yeah, I think there is. I think it does open it up. I think it's unlikely, but I think it's the closest it's been in a long time. And the more they do that, the more it does open it up, because it's just like kind of getting all this stuff from all over of just inflammatory rhetoric. Saying it again, but it's just it's frustrating. Because it's like, so are they playing to the outside of their base and they think they're trying to motivate their voters? It's like, I guess you have to do that, but it's like, I don't know, do we have to? Like, I hope for the day that we can have peacemakers come do this.
Right, okay, now let's talk a bit about that piece. There was a lot of talk about Israel, Gaza, and there was kind of a hesitation from at least Stratton and Raja to support a resolution that would call what is happening in Gaza a genocide. Now, I actually looked this up on Pew Research Center, that one of their more recent polls. They show it has a 59% overall unfavorability for Israel as a state. That is not by party lines, that is just the people polled. I know that number's higher in Democrats, so let's start with you, Rick. Do you think this position on Israel for Juliana and Raja, Kelly was someone that was willing to call it a genocide. Do you think that will affect them in the polls?
I mean, I think it's all about which voters that it is. I mean, it is, it's the Democratic Party has voters in sort of all sides of every issue.
Right.
And I think that, not answer the question, but I think that's a really tough one to come up with. I mean, I have a personal opinion, but as a local party leader, I don't I don't go out there and
right.
Sell my position as something for
because you represent a lot of people.
So yeah, I mean, my role is to make sure that we from a directional standpoint as Democrats are working together where we can, and where we have disagreements, we fight those out amongst ourselves, and I think across the board we ought to do that as a general issue. We're more split, from a party standpoint than we need to be, I think, at this point. But from the Gaza issue, I think I have an opinion of which way, if I was in that position, how I would vote. But that's
it's a difficult spot to be in.
It's one of those issues where morally there's maybe a right answer for you if you're in this seat, and a different answer if you're in a different seat. So it's a tough question.
Well, talking about that difficulty, what do you think? Do you think that's true?
Well, I think that was the weakest part of the debate. It was exciting because it's like, okay, I'm curious how you're going to answer this, because you could step in a landmine. Mm-hmm. But they all kind of danced around it, so it's like I don't even know what any of them really believe. So.
Right. Yeah, and some of those statements were relatively unclear. You kind of. And they re-asked it as well. They asked it very clearly, like, hey, this is what they want.
Right.
And they still, Raja and Juliana specifically were kind of avoiding that.
Right.
And do you think maybe that disconnect, this is a unpopular position for the Democrats to be in support of Israel, especially when we look at some of these, Chicago races outside from our area. There's a lot of talk about AIPAC, the lobby that supports Israel. So how do you feel about that? Do you think that might actually impact voters at the polls?
I don't think anything that they said about Israel is going to impact anybody. I don't think they said anything significant enough to change the way for anybody, personally.
All right. Well, let's move on to Iran then, because that was kind of the next topic that came after that. We're hearing a certain amount of things in Iran. We're not exactly sure what's going on, but there seems to be at least a move in Washington, D.C., and maybe even from the president, of at least doing something in Iran. How do you guys feel about their response to, if there was war in Iran, how they would respond? I'll start with you, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the problems in Washington today is that the Congress is not stepping up and doing its job. As a partisan Democrat, I mean, I think there's a limited amount the Democrats can do, but there's a lot of things, for getting into what Trump is doing on a lot of issues. I think a lot of Americans, Democrats especially, think he's going down the wrong path, and I think there are enough Republicans that think some of the things he's doing that aren't right or good, and they're not standing up and doing the work that they should be in Congress of asking the tough questions. And I think all of the Senate candidates, said conclusively that they wanted the Congress to do that work. So I was encouraged by that. I wasn't surprised by it, but I think my wish right now, and with the way things are, is that some of our local elected Republicans would stand up and, I think that they share some of those same concerns about Trump and are not standing up and asking those questions and doing the oversight. So,
all right, Bobby, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you so much there. The Congress should be stepping up, and it's like Congress should be stepping up and taking care of these things. So then Trump wouldn't think he has to, or he shouldn't have to. It should already be done. They should be figuring this out and putting things forward. But I think there's a standstill, something that keeps them from doing that.
Yeah.
But this is one area where I agreed with, I think, all of them, that they all were clear we don't want war. And so I appreciate that. We don't want war. And he said, the congressman said, we can't let Iran get a nuclear weapon. And so I agree with him there, and I'm glad he said that. Then he did say it has to be by diplomacy only, and it's like, well, if they're trying to kill us, then it's like, maybe diplomacy only doesn't work. So I wouldn't just leave it only to diplomacy, but I agree with his sentiment. We should exhaust diplomacy at all costs.
And I think as well, this is one thing I wanted to bring up to you, because Juliana Stratton, in a moment, she was asked, about her policies and about if she was what she would bring to the federal government. And one of the things is she said that Illinois is a blueprint. The things that she helped move and pass in Illinois is stuff that she would like to replicate. One of those things was the assault weapons ban. And that has been a struggle for that to be somewhat implemented because it has been challenged in the courts. This was something that stood out to you, so I wanted to hear your thoughts about it. How do you think about Juliana Stratton wanting to bring that assault weapons ban to the federal level?
Right. Well, she had said several things that I feel were pretty socialist, that were scary to me, that I don't think that she would be good for some of those reasons. I don't think the assault weapons ban is a good thing to take federally. I just think it's an infringement on the Second Amendment. So I just disagree with that. It's kind of scary to have that going there.
Right. Rick, do you have a response to that?
I share maybe the opposite opinion. I think that
It's okay.
it's predictably possible
Yeah.
that I think both Robin Kelly and Juliana, and I'm not sure if it came down to whether Roger would jump in on that, but I think that guns. This goes back to some of the things I think that the divide between Republicans and Democrats these days. I think there are some things, as far as sort of sane things we can do to deal with the proliferation of weapons. I think that we get lost in this one answer or the other, and there's not ever a way to come to some sane compromise in the middle. My answer is going to be more that, more control is I'm more comfortable with that. I understand that that's not, everybody's opinion. But it just seems like we have got stuck in this place where we can't come to a compromise on almost anything these days. So.
And I think now I kind of want to go into some of those conversations about ICE, especially from these three lawmakers. They're all, based in the Collier County, Chicago area, and ICE has been a very big conversation. And, we had a difference between abolish ICE or Trump's ICE. I want to start with you, Bobby. Which message do you think resonated from you more, the abolish ICE or abolish Trump's ICE, or do you disagree with all of those stances?
Right. Well, this is probably what affected me the most, and this made me really sad to see. And because I think this is what was so inflammatory to me, the way that they were just so negative towards ICE, and what do I want to say? It was just these are real people. These are ICE agents, Immigration and Custom Enforcement, men and women of that group, and they're real people. And to call them, they said crazy things like roving gangs, and to be so negative towards them. It's like Congress is the one that enacted them to be there. Congress is the one that made all the rules and regulations that they're following. And their attitude is like, oh, we're going to abolish ICE and they're bad. No, it's you. You guys did this, so you should be fixing this. They should be talking about how we're going to fix the rules and regulations that they're doing. And it reminds me, I was in the Marine Corps, and I went to Iraq a couple times, and we were there trying to do the best we could. We tried to do the right thing, and people were against us invading the country, and it's like I didn't choose to do that. Congress did. Like, but we're still there doing the best we can. So even though you disagree, it's like, okay, well, that doesn't mean that we're bad. So it's like, I don't think that you can say, even because there's a couple bad actors here and there's mistakes, of course, that's, you got to punish them and address that and investigate. But to make them all bad, I think is dangerous, and it makes it so people, could want to attack them or dehumanize them. So it was sad.
Rick, I think I don't want to assume, but I'm going to say you're probably not pro-ICE.
Probably not.
Yes, and I would like to ask you, which message do you think resonated more, abolish ICE or Trump's ICE?
Well, I guess I would, go to the fact that maybe respectfully disagree with where the direction for and the reason to make changes with our immigration policy. You go back a few years ago, before Trump was there, we weren't having these agents in the streets of our democratic cities. It's pretty clear to me that it's not about the laws and the policies that Congress has passed, but it is the policy and the push from the Trump administration and the way that they're that they're implementing that, and the things that they're asking those individual agents, which I agree that those individual agents on the whole shouldn't be judged, but right. it is the things that they're being asked to do. They're being pushed hard and put in situations that are forcing them to disrespect a lot of brown people in this country, and that's frankly not acceptable to many people. And we have to find a way, and many other citizens. And if you look at who was killed in Minneapolis, it's American citizens that got caught in the middle of this. So it's something that we have a leadership problem from the very top on that issue, and I think that whether it's Trump's ICE or abolish ICE is sort of irrelevant to me.
So you don't have a preference on either?
There is. I think it's a semantic. That's the way that the candidates are choosing to sort of parse that out, and I think the real issue is that there's something major that needs to be fixed with that immigration policy.
Now, they talked a little bit about the minimum wage. It's currently at $7.25 at the federal level. Talk to me a bit about, I will start with you, Rick, about their minimum wage argument. It seems like Juliana Stratton's there for the $25 minimum federal wage, and Raja and Kelly support a $17 minimum wage. How do you fall on that?
I'll go out on a limb on this one and say that the $25 number makes sense to me, with the sort of maybe adding in the fact that we obviously do need to implement any change like that in a way that's going to work and be able to be phased in a way that's not going to unduly affect the businesses that pay those wages. So,
all right.
Yeah. This is where I agreed with a couple of things that they said. Obviously not the minimum wage. I think that's. I think raising it 25 is catastrophic. I guess it depends how much time you put it on.
Could you explain how it would be catastrophic?
Well, I think it would be for small businesses to put that kind of put that so quickly, and I think it causes rapid inflation too. But the thing that they did say that I agreed with was that the congressman said, we don't want to make it so high that people can't get a job. So I appreciated he said that, because that has to be, we have to be cognizant of that, because you raise the minimum wage like that, you are inevitably making less jobs. Small businesses can't afford to have as many positions, or you have to go to something else, robotics or machinery, within reason. It's all scalable. And then she said, acknowledge that the impact to small businesses, the congresswoman. And so I appreciated she saying that, because, man, there's got to be a way to raise the minimum wage on large corporations. Not everybody has to make a livable wage, or has a job for a livable wage. Like I have a daughter, she's 15. She doesn't need a $25 an hour job. There's got to be jobs that she can get to, and that she can get with no experience, and there's a lot of people in that boat too. So I just think that's $25 is crazy.
You want to see less posts that say 2 years minimum experience on LinkedIn, you know, those are kind of the jobs
yeah,
that
the 4-year degree and whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wanted to pivot a little bit into campaign finance. This was a big topic that was actually discussed, and, you know, this is quite a issue because, well, it is something that was important to this race because Raja started with what everybody said a war chest, around about $22 to $23 million as soon as he entered the race. That's a lot of money. I want to specifically, you know, talk about this one message that Juliana said, and she called her campaign grassroots. Now, she does have the backing of one of the most powerful billionaires in Illinois. So I'll start with you, Bobby. Would you agree with Juliana in saying that her campaign is grassroots?
I can't imagine, but I don't know. So I didn't believe that, but yeah, I don't know.
You don't know. Do you think that as someone, she's quite against corporate money and corporate donors, and she has denied taking any PAC money?
Right.
Do you think that from that position as well, but having Pritzker as a billionaire to support him,
right.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it is what it is, and everybody has people that support them. But you know, you have other people that take, you know, they have big PAC money, and then they give it to you. So it's like, none of that comes back to it. I don't know. They all do it, but
Right. Okay. It's just a reality of campaigning in this day of age.
right. Yeah, we could sit here and say that it's not right and not good, and I agree. But it is what it is.
Would you agree that maybe they should have? Do you think they had a strong enough stance on campaign finance reform then?
Sure, yeah, as much as we can make it fair. I mean, it's crazy how much was spent on the last presidential election. That was wild. But I don't know. I don't know of anything. I haven't heard of anything that's reasonable that would work yet.
Right.
So, but I'm open to it. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it goes back to Citizens United, and we need to, from a campaign cost and a campaign finance standpoint, it's so, until we figure out a way to amend the Constitution to make it so that corporations are not considered people from the standpoint of campaign finance.
Yeah.
A lot of this, I think, is, I mean, it's good for candidates to take a stand and be against big money in politics, but I mean, I will say, yeah, it rings a little bit hollow to me personally. You know, that the distinction between where the money comes from. It's a lot of money coming from somewhere, and we need to, you know, in the end, I think all the candidates said that we need to have some sort of either public financing or some other campaign funding system. And yeah, I wish it wasn't as big a part of the discussion in this campaign as it is, but it's something I think that rings with a lot of people as a concern. So.
Yeah, I think as well, one thing I really wanted to mention on is specifically about USAID and SNAP. Those were some of the things they mentioned with soybean trade and tariffs. Those are some of the things that they've shown themselves against. Do you think that is do you think they had an appropriate response to kind of the soybean issue? Because it was kind of a scare in Illinois when that happened.
I mean, I think most politicians in Illinois are pretty against the tariff policy that we have, the random and sort of crazy policy that President Trump has had with tariffs of just randomly picking numbers out of the air and throwing them at people for random reasons. I think, I mean, to go on a tangent, I mean, I think that Congressman LaHood, I know he's against tariffs, but I wish he would stand up and vote actually against something that Trump is doing. And I will put a pitch in. If there's a guy running against him that I know would do that, Paul Nolly is our Democrat that's going to be running against him. So I hope that folks will take a look at him, because he will be somebody that would stand up for our farmers to have a reasonable policy that would support them being able to sell to worldwide markets. So,
what do you think, Bobby?
I don't think any of them move the needle on any of those things. I don't think they gained anybody. I don't think they lost anybody. I can't, some of those things I can't even remember what they said or what their stance
Right.
was. It was just kind of blah.
All right, I wanted to mention this one word. You probably heard this slogan used all around, affordability. This was really populated by the New York mayor who kind of upset that race, and now we're kind of seeing everybody talk about affordability, affordability, affordability. And at the core of the issue is that people are not able to live within their means as well as they could. Do you think, Bobby, that they had enough of a message on affordability and making America affordable for its citizens?
No, I didn't. That was one thing I wish I could have got more of. And, you know, they did a lot of the, there's only so much time, so I don't want to be too critical, but I didn't get like what they're going to do for Illinois to make it more affordability besides raise the minimum wage to $25, which I don't think it makes it more affordable. I think it less. I think more businesses would leave and it makes it worse. But I just didn't get anything of substance that they're going to really make it more affordable in Illinois. These three this time.
Right. Rick?
Yeah, I would concur that, I mean, I was surprised we didn't hear more about that issue. It seems like it's a top of mind thing for most voters these days to that where we're at and the direction that we're going, that seems to be, as I do go out and knock on doors helping candidates campaign, and it is something that people do talk about. So I think I was surprised, yeah, that it was not more top of the discussion on this thing.
Well, I think you add an interesting idea. What was something you think wasn't discussed, or maybe not discussed as much, that should have been discussed more?
Oh man, I mean that's the first thing that comes to mind. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have it ready.
You want me to ask Bobby instead?
Well, I just think what I said before. He probably agrees that they should have had more to say about Illinois and what they're going to do for Illinois, and you know, they have such an opportunity to get things forward, especially with Trump, and they just kind of want to be adversarial with them. And just be party lines and stuff, but you have a president here that he would do things for them to get their support, or to make it seem like he has a win with them. So they actually have an opportunity to really do something for Illinois, and I think he would do it to try to reach over the lines. So unlike some other presidents, because he wants that. So I wish I could have heard more of that, of like, what could you do for Illinois?
Right. Now, we've kind of got at least 2 minutes left of this. I want to give you both a minute each just to kind of have your final thoughts about what you thought about this day. I'll start with you, Rick.
Well, just maybe to follow on a little bit on that conversation, one thing that I think is a shame is sort of the narrow format that we end up having to hear about candidates in.
Right.
I mean, it's sort of amazing to me in this day of technology that that we really don't get to dive in and hear more of the sort of the details of what the candidates are about and what their policies are, and we're sort of stuck in these 30-second, 60-second things, and again, that's sort of the media landscape that we're in today. It makes a lot of that really difficult. So.
Speaking about 30 seconds, Bobby.
Yeah, so the same thing, I agree with that. In the media landscape that we're in and the political landscape that we're in, it's just frustrating and tiresome that we get characters. And I think it's, I'm being harsh because of the debate. Maybe in a podcast setting they would be great, but we're seeing characters, we're seeing inflammatory remarks. It's just like, can we get some real people to be able to have real answers and not just play a part and be part of a group? I just want to say real quick about the Epstein thing. I liked that they all wanted to release all the files, and so I agree with them that, and I like that they want everybody to be investigated and all the files to be released. But why didn't we do this for the last 4 years under Biden? They had all this stuff and they weren't pushing it then that I saw. Maybe they were, but it's like I wish you would have been doing this all along.
Right. All right. Thank you so much.